You went on appreciating everybody around you, but when it comes to you, you went on condemning yourself. And with this state, do you expect somebody will love you? No. There is no understanding of love. Love is not something that you get from the others. Love is your very being, it is your nature. If you don't recognize that, then you always try to do business in the name of love. So, moksha is liberating because you realize your true being, the true state, where you can even exist without the body and the mind. Even these two things cannot be dependent because it is continuously changing. So, moksha is something, that state of nirvana that Buddha calls it, Mahavira calls it the state of moksha. Maharishi Patanjali calls it the state of samadhi, refers to one thing. That state, it is no more divisible, it is one. So moksha means now you are not searching anywhere else. You are trying to search within. We can correlate the yesterday's lecture with this. The first is the Brahmana, where you have to control your karma. Otherwise, if you are loose in your karma, then you lose your life. In the second stage, it is the Samhita, where again you need to understand the artha. You need to accumulate the money, but in a virtuous way. If you go on cheating everybody around you and make a great bank balance, then one day you're going to lose it. The third is the Aranyaka, where you try to flower using the relationship that you find around you. And the last, Upanishad, refers to moksha. That is why it is said to sit with oneself. Now, I just want to feel independent. Why I cannot feel this state of happiness throughout the day? Why it is very short-lived? Even if you get an Oscar or a Nobel Prize, it is just till the moment you hold the prize. The moment you hold it, happiness is gone. It is very short-lived. But sadness is something having the opposite quality. It leaves you very, very slowly. You cannot contain happiness for longer duration because you never experienced it within yourself as your nature. You are always trying to find the stimulus, the reason for it to be happy. So yoga, shastra or yogic science is designed in such a way that you will come in contact with the true self. That is what we call it in the Yoga Sutra, tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Then you will know who you are. Once you go beyond the body and the mind, and you simply become that awareness itself, and then you will realize. And this should be in everybody's experience. That is why Buddha said, everybody is Buddha until he realizes it. Everybody has the chance to experience this state, but we stop ourselves. We do not try to live naturally, as simply as possible. We go on, make our life very complex. That is why Confucius has said, life is too simple, but often we make it complicated. It is very simple, but we go on having so many afflictions, and it is mainly caused by the mind And why? All misery is born out of ignorance. So that is why you will understand the word Veda. Why Veda means knowledge. Once there is knowledge, there is bliss. If there is ignorance, there is sadness. There is always the misery. We are continuously living in the dream state. You are continuously thinking. That is what in Yoga Sutra they call as the chitta vrittis. We live in a dream state. And in the terminology of yoga, we use awakening. It is simply to get up. Enough of dream. It is simply like when somebody is sleeping and they are having nightmares, they are shouting, crying. How you are going to help them? Are you going to enter their dream like Inception movie and say, it is a dream, don't worry, I am here, I'll support you? No, the best possible way to help a person who is having trauma in his dream is to wake him up and say, forget about it, this is the reality. Because you are dreaming, it appears as if it is a real thing happening, isn't it? That is why many times you fall off the bed, because you take it so seriously. When you are dreaming, you experience joy and suffering too, because mind exists there. So, yoga is simply to awake. Enough of dream. That is what Buddha means, the awakened one, who is no more sleeping. He is awake. He is looking the world as it is. He is not projecting any idea. And that is the subject of yoga. How I can awake myself. How I can go back to my center again. I have lost it. Now, yoga helps you to find your way back home. So, Vedic civilization played a very important role in the discovery of the subject yoga. It is not invention, it is a discovery. And that is why yoga gives more importance to its practice. Through the practices, you can tune yourself. So now we have to discuss about a very prominent figure in the field of yoga, who is called as Maharishi Patanjali. Veda is a huge literature. Vedas are classified into 4 sections: Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, and Yajurveda. And each of the section has numerous subdivisions. They say at least in one section you will find more than 250 million verses. So to study Veda in one lifetime, it is not possible. You need to have extraordinary ability to study it, and some individuals have done it. Yoga, to practice yoga in the olden days was so difficult. If you are living in the society, then you have to have a very strong will and determination to go in search of a guru. There was no authentic text to rely upon, or you really don't know whether the practice that you are doing is the authentic one or not, isn't it? Even today in the West, you don't know which is real yoga and which is not, isn't it? Because there is no understanding of the classical literature. So for a common man, it was so difficult to practice yoga, even though he knew there is a subject like yoga, but it was not accessible easily. And to work on yoga, to contribute something on the path of yoga, there should be a genius, has to be born to understand the whole of Veda and to get the information from it. When I was explaining yesterday, Upanishads are the origin of yoga, and there are thousands of Upanishads. And each Upanishad you will find some references about yoga. Not in detail, here and there, scattered. The information of yoga is all scattered over the Vedic literature. And there was a man called Patanjali. We call him Maharishi Patanjali. We call him the greatest sage. Maha means the great. Rishi means the sage. He is the greatest sage. Why? Because he was able to study whole of the Vedas. And he compiled all the information about yoga, studying millions of verses. He compiled all the information from it and made it simple. He wrote Yoga Sutra. Yoga Sutra, which has 195 verses and which can easily fit in one single page. See, this is why we consider him as genius. Understanding the complex idea and putting it in simple words, as simple as possible, using as less word as possible, Patanjali wrote Yoga Sutra. And not only he compiled the information, but he systematized how to approach yoga. He designed 8 limbs, 8 steps to climb upon to experience one's consciousness. Step by step, you prepare yourself to go higher. That is why Maharishi Patanjali's yoga is also called as Ashtanga Yoga. It has 8 limbs in it. He compiled the information and he systematized the path. For this contribution, we consider Maharishi Patanjali as the father of yoga. Not because he invented anything, it was already there, but he compiled and systematized it so that it became easy for a common man to appreciate the path. So for this, we consider Maharishi Patanjali as the father of yoga. And Yoga Sutras is simply the Bible of yoga. Everything about yoga, you can find it in one text. It is the Alpha and the Omega. Everything is included in it. Whatever you want to know about yoga is being explained in 195 verse. And why we call Maharishi? We don't simply call anybody a Maharishi, because if he is only the extraordinary, then only we call him the Maharishi. One is already this huge work, he has given the contribution, but the second is he has written even on Ayurveda. He has written Ayurveda Samhita, which is the Indian medicine